nobody knows this story how I signed with the D-backs, but I had a profile on LinkedIn because I was a realtor, and my video guy from the GCL days reached out. He's like, "Hey man, glad to see you doing real estate." And I thought about it for two days, and I went back. I was like, "Hey, do you know anybody looking for an outfit? I feel like I still can compete at a AA or higher level."
That ball is crushed. How about another 2-home run game?
2-2 on the way from Clark. Swung on and missed.
Walker belts one way out of here and gone. Oh my goodness.
On fly ball with his center chasing Brito back. Socrates racing. He makes the catch.
The throw from Brito is right there, and they got it.
From downtown Reno, welcome back to Greater Nevada Field for another season of Reno Aces baseball. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Aces Loaded podcast, our first edition of the Aces Loaded podcast in 2022. I'm Zack Bayruti. Of course, I'll be hosting these, and today we're going to talk with Stone Garrett. He's our first player guest. How you doing, man?
Doing well, Zach. Yourself?
Doing well. I'm doing well. It's nice to be back in the swing of baseball and have baseball in the month of April again. Tell us about, first of all, I'm going to talk to you about Reno this year, obviously, but you got a taste of being with the Aces last year. And tell us about getting that call. I think I was on the bus when they were saying, yeah, we got Stone Garrett coming. It was for that final stretch. They added 10 games, and we needed a guy. And tell us about when you got that call and getting to, I think we were I forget where we were. We were in Albuquerque. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Honestly, it was the first weekend of the off season, and I was in Dallas. I was already on vacation with my friends, and we were in an Uber to go get dinner. And Josh called me and said, "Hey, can you be in Albuquerque tomorrow?" I was like, "No, I'm in Dallas, but I can be there Sunday." So Sunday, flew home, grabbed my bags. They already packed from the season. Flew out to Albuquerque Sunday afternoon. Got there, and then got there right as the game ended. And then the next day, I think I pinch hit and got a little taste of AAA.
Yeah, I don't know where I was, but I was with Blake Lawley, and he's like, yeah, Stone was ready to go on vacation. They called him up to AAA. But, it was well-deserved. Your year last year in Amarillo was great. You had 25 home runs, 81 ribbies, and you hit 280. So it was your best year average-wise since, I think, Batavia in 2015 when you were with the Marlins. What clicked for you last year?
Well, I signed as a free agent with the Diamondbacks, and they came in. It's like, hey, you got to, hit your way onto the roster. So they were pretty straightforward. There's no hidden, message about what I had to do to make a team. They were straightforward, like, hey, you got to hit. And I remember spring training, everybody was banging. I was like, dang, okay, I'm really going to have to hit. Did well in spring training, went out. Nick Evans, my hitting coach, he made me really comfortable, and, we really took it to another level when it came to approach-wise, didn't really change mechanics or anything, but, talking to Nick day in and day out about what this pitcher's trying to do, what he's trying to do in the situation, I felt like that really took my game to the next level hitting-wise. So, having him here this year is, I'm really comfortable with him, and it's a great thing to have.
With your last year with the Marlins was 2019, and you're with AA Jacksonville that year. So you were back in the same level, different league, but the same level. Were you feeling more comfortable just repeating that level, like you had kind of been there and done that, and you could kind of get settled in for a second year?
Honestly, the pitching in 19 might have been, about the same, if not tougher, especially with that Frisco staff, all those guys. I think it really had to do with having Nick Evans as my hitting coach and him talking about approach with us. And like I said, it wasn't really mechanics. It was just approach, being okay swinging through pitches and sitting on pitches in certain, spots and locations. But, them not hiding the fact that I had to hit to make a team, stay on a team, and earn my playing time was the biggest factor to me.
Had you always been a guy that hit for power going back to high school, or is the power something that's come of late?
It was kind of, sporadic, but, 19, I had 14, I think, and last year I had 25, like you said. Just, picking my spots, maybe finishing with two hands last year. I remember in Frisco we played around with it, and I hit 2 home runs on a doubleheader day. So I was pretty, quick evidence that maybe hitting with 2 hands and finishing with 2 hands was, beneficial for power. And it helps me stay through the ball. The average came up. So, I always haven't been a power guy, but like I said, working with these guys over here, they really put an emphasis on hitting in the whole D-backs organization, which is great.
Tell us about growing up in Richmond, Texas. What was it like, and how did you get into baseball?
Yeah, so Richmond, Sugarland, that area. I went to high school in Richmond, live in Sugarland, which is in our league.
Yeah, so what's the difference? Like the Sugarland thing is, I'm not familiar with like the Texas geography in terms of like, I know Sugarland's Houston, but is it very like, are they protective of Sugarland and Richmond? And
No, they're right next door.
Okay.
Like cities right next door. Like you go out one exit of my neighborhood, it's Richmond. You go out another, Sugarland. So same thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's a competitive environment. Sports, Texas in general. Baseball, football. Growing up playing both. Chose baseball. Junior year, stick with that to finish my high school career, and then get drafted. But it was a great environment to grow up. Just competitive wise, a bunch of guys made it out there, play pro ball, D1. I think we had 8 guys go D1 in my high school, which is great. Kevin Copps, who just got drafted from Arkansas with the Padres now, he was a high school teammate, neighbor of me actually. It was just a great place to grow up if you played sports.
When did you make the call to go baseball full time as opposed to football? What position did you play football?
Yeah, so outside linebacker, DN. I made the call my freshman year, but sophomore year I actually ended up playing. They were 3 weeks into the season. My history coach was a football coach, and he said, "Hey, you sure you don't want to play?" I was like, thought about it. I don't have anything to do after school today, so went to football practice that day. Called my mom, she picked me up from practice. So sophomore year is my last year playing football, and then junior year had some buddies, tear the ACLs and couldn't play baseball. So I was like, all right, you know what? I want to stick with this. Don't really want to play football anymore. Kind of burnt out from Little League days. So stuck with baseball after that, and it turned out well for me.
Yeah, it did, because you were drafted right out of high school by the Marlins. Did you see that coming?
I knew I wanted to go pro out of high school. I knew I could always go back to school, and if I wanted to learn, I wanted to be from the professionals who have took the path that I wanted to take. So it wasn't really a hard decision for me at all.
Did you have any commitments to college, and did you have to decide between going to the full scholarship somewhere and getting drafted?
Yeah, so I had a really good scholarship to Rice. And that's right down the road, so my parents would have been able to see every game. But my dad left it up to me. He said, "Hey, what do you want to do? You can go to school, play baseball, or you can go pro. It's up to you." That was the first adult decision I ever had to make, and I chose the pro route. And people ask me all the time, "Do you regret it? Do you regret it?" Not once have I ever regretted it.
By the way, John Duplantier out of Rice. I was racking my brain. I'm like, I know we had someone here out of Rice, and it was Dupe. He was here the last couple of seasons. Getting drafted by the Marlins and going through those early years, and I've been around the game a lot and seen a lot of guys out of high school have to make their way, and it's a really drastic change as opposed to the kids coming out of college. What was the most difficult part of that transition for you?
Honestly, it was just playing every day. I wish I would have known what a foam roller was earlier in my career. I didn't know until 2 years in my professional career what a foam roller was, and that would have helped, being sore every day from playing every day and just being wiped out after every day, especially in the Gulf Coast League GCL. That was tough. A lot of college kids get to skip that. Good for them. But, it makes you appreciate playing stadiums like this and traveling to see, fans in the stands, because GCL, they don't tell you that nobody's going to be at the games. But I loved it. I loved the grind. People get worn out, but I can still say to this day, I still love, playing baseball.
We're here with Stone Garrett on the Aces Loaded podcast. Going from the Marlins to the Diamondbacks organization, when did that happen? I know there was 2019, then there was COVID, and then you were signed last year by the D-backs. What was the series of events?
Yeah, so my last year playing a full year with the Marlins was 19. COVID year 20, went to spring training, that got canceled, and then that was my last year on my minor league contract, and I got an email from them, not a call, just an email saying, "Hey, this is what happens. This is how you're going to become a free agent." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm going to be a free agent." No call or anything, no text, whatever. So I became a free agent, and then time just rolled by. It was a little slow, free agency market, and I signed to an independent ball league actually in January, February. And nobody knows this story how I signed with the D-backs, but I had a profile on LinkedIn because I was a realtor, and my video guy from the GCL days reached out. He's like, "Hey man, glad to see you doing real estate." And I thought about it for two days, and I went back. I was like, "Hey, do you know anybody looking for an outfit? I feel like I still can compete at a AA or higher level."
Retire.
I was gonna play indie ball for 1 year, and then if that didn't pan out, then maybe consider retiring. But reached back out to him on LinkedIn. He said, "Let me ask around." Asked around, and then a couple days went by. I got an Instagram DM from Corey Hahn in the front office of the D-backs. He said, "Hey man, do you have an agent? If so, what's his number?" 2 days later, I'm signed to the D-backs. So
that's amazing.
Funny story about that. I was about to delete my LinkedIn probably a month before he reached out on LinkedIn. So if I would have deleted it, who knows where I would be to this day.
Wow, there's so many different ways you can go for following up with questions. But first of all, the Indy League, was that the one in Sugarlands?
No, so that was in Sussex County in New York, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, the minors, Sussex County. Bobby Jones is the manager over there, so he's going to sign me. And he said his goal was to get me back to professional baseball, affiliated baseball. But luckily, I didn't have to go that route. A lot of guys do, and it's hard to get back. I understand, especially if you're a hitter. So. Shout out to Corey Hahn. Shout out to Dan on LinkedIn. So shout out to Dan for getting me, essentially my job over here.
That is wild, man. How is the real estate world? Is that something you consider after baseball?
Yeah, definitely commercial, residential. I was a residential realtor. A lot of emotions. People don't like bathrooms or whatever. So the last deal I ever did, we put in 30 offers for my client, and none of them got accepted because it was just a crazy real estate market. People were putting cash offers, waiving the inspection period, and that kind of gave me a lasting taste of like, man, I really don't want to do residential. If baseball's over, commercial's more my speed. But we'll see. Hopefully that's a ways away. I feel like I can still play for several so years. But yeah, real estate's it's a great flexibility job for baseball players to do in the off season. I push it on my buddies. I'm like, yo, you can get your realtor license and do it in the off season. It's great money.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I hope it's a little while before you do it again, and I hope you get to tell this story up in the big leagues here soon. But before I let you go, do you have any goals? You probably didn't envision yourself here 2 years ago, but do you have goals now that you did what you did last year and you're doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, it's just to compete every day. Come out here. You get guys that you face up and down the big leagues or trying to make their way. So just compete every day and see where that takes me by the end of the season.
Dude, it was great talking to you. Thanks for sharing the story, and best of luck to you. Congrats on your first AAA home run the other day.
Appreciate it.
That's Stone Garrett. We'll be back with more on the Aces Loaded podcast.
Bird struck out 23 and 20 into third.
Sliding neat stop by Zack, nearly in front. Go down from Herrera on one bounce.
Ace Ball is here. For tickets, visit RenoAces.com all summer long.
Welcome back to the Aces Loaded podcast. Zack Beirudi, Doug Drabek. This is a beer with Doug Drabek. It's our favorite segment of the podcast, and
mine's already open. Sorry, jumped again.
Mine is now open. And cheers, my friend. I take care of that real quick. Came up on me fast. First of all, we're doing this after a 1-0 win. Aces winning 1-0. I don't know how many 1-0 games there have been at Greater Nevada Field, but this has been nice, man.
No, it
This is a
was.
nice
Actually both sides. The pitching was good. But yeah, like you said, in Reno, PCL, 1-0 game, quick game. It's nice.
Yeah, it doesn't get much better. There's the lighting right there. Yeah, the lighting is. We got the field behind us and the sun setting, so we're gonna try and keep the lighting nice and good. But it's basically story time. Like, I want 5 minutes to just sit down, have a beer, and learn about some of the cool stories you have over your years in baseball. 1990 Cy Young Award winner with the Pirates. Obviously, I can give the credentials of over 2,500 big league innings, yada yada. What was your toughest hitter? Who was your toughest hitter to face?
Well,
You can pick two. I'll give you two.
Two. All right. There's a lot, but probably Tony Gwynn, number one, which I don't mind saying. I think he hit probably close to 400 off me, and I'm gonna go with Fred Mcgriff, who was like
The crime dog.
The crime dog, about 375, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
So yeah.
All right, take us through. Do you remember an at bat from each of those guys?
Well, Gwynn, all I remember is couldn't strike him out, and I learned through veterans, don't try to get him out, let himself get him out, make your pitches. So, but I know with the crime dog game in San Diego, I think Gary Sheffield was hitting in front of him. He hits one out to kind of center field, right center, and it's like somewhere around 450. Mcgriff comes up. He follows that with about a 450, 470 shot. And the thing with Mcgriff is when he kind of finished over his head.
Yep, I remember.
You knew that it was gone.
I remember.
I saw that, yes. And he's just one of those guys that, I just didn't have anything to like consistently get him out with.
What made Gwynn so tough?
I think he was good. He had a good eye at the plate. He had a good eye with the zone. He didn't try to do more than he was capable of, and he was very good at just fouling your pitch off and making you make a mistake in the zone. And he was strong enough to hit a home run, but he wasn't concerned about that. He was just concerned about contact and getting hits, and that's what made him tough. Because you try to make the perfect pitch, and sometimes you did, and he was just able to just nick it, foul it off, and wait till he got his pitch.
Was it an approach thing with him? Like was his approach? Did he shorten his approach always?
No, I think that's what he did. I think he changed to the way you were pitching, and he knew what you had, what you did in certain situations, and he would make the adjustments that he needed until, like I said, till he got something that he liked.
What about Mcgriff? What made him so tough for you?
A lot of times the home run hitters, the power hitters, they have holes and stuff. For me, he didn't have that one certain hole. It was, I think he sat on pitches and he capitalized on your mistakes. To me, it was that simple for him.
All right. Tony Gwynn and Fred Mcgriff. That's pretty good. Those are two good ones.
I don't mind saying those names.
Yeah. Do you ever watch those Tom Amansky videos and see Fred Mcgriff and think, man,
yes.
couldn't get that guy out?
with the blue pointy hats? Yes, I did.
All right, Doug. Cheers, man. I appreciate the story.
Thank you.
It's a beer with Doug Drabek, and hope you enjoy the stories. This is going to be a feature on the Aces Loaded podcast all year long. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Aces Loaded podcast.